While we're waiting, what we're going to do is demonstrate how to lay the inspection rings. And to do that, of course, we use the plastic rings, and they're different manufacturers, different brands. A lot of these rings will have a casting mold on the edge of them, leaves a pretty good bump. You want to take your sharp razor or knife, if there's anything like that, trim that off of these rings, clean up any flashing, because you don't want that to show through your finished patch. And what we've done is previously marked our covers here where we don't want them to go. If you recall earlier when we had just the bottom of the wing covered, we actually pre-marked these areas on the inside of the fabric. We could look down through the wing before the top cover went on. So that's what we're looking at right here. It's actually an ink or a soft lead pencil line that was put on the inside of this fabric. To glue the rings on, procedure is pretty much just like we've been doing. Here we'll go ahead and brush a coat of wet glue down through our previously marked ring location. And then we're going to go ahead and brush some glue on the back side or the flat side of the ring. Now while that glue is still wet, I'm going to lay it in place. I like to turn it a little bit just to make sure that glue's bedded in real well. You can see it pushes up around the edges. Not a big problem. We just take our towel and just wipe the surplus. You don't need to get every bit of that off because we're going to be ironing a doily over this a little later, be gluing one on it. And that'll really finish this ring off. And a little glue around that edge, it's not going to hurt a thing because that's going to really help bond our cloth doily down tight around these edges later on. Okay, we've demonstrated how to glue the inspection rings on. I've glued them on all the wing. This one is ready for the glue to be applied. Here's one right up here that I applied glue to earlier. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and apply the glue to this area here and show you how we do that, what we want to look for. And what we do on this, after the ring is in place, this pre-glues it in preparation to put the doily patch on over the top of it. What we do is just brush in a real nice semi-wet coat of glue and come out about 1/4 of an inch or so past the outer radius of the inspection ring here. Just bring it out about like that. Try to lay on a smooth coat of glue so you don't have a lot of brush marks and ridges, because when this dries, those will tend to show through. So right there is about what you want to look for. After that has sat and dries, what you've got up here on this ring right here is what you're going to have. That one is ready for the doily. Now what we do for the doilies, I like to have about 1 inch wider border than what the ring is. That's a 4-inch ring. It happens that a coffee can lid is about 6 inches in diameter, and that makes an ideal pattern to mark your doily out on. Okay, we've got a doily cut. We're going to go up to this pre-glued ring, and I'm going to show you how to lay that into place. Now, because this glue is dry but still semi-tacky, it makes this a very simple procedure. You lay the doily in place. Because there's no wet glue to work, you can scoot it around, figure out about where you want it, try to get it as close to centered as you can. That looks pretty nice right there. Lay it in place and just take your finger and rub the center portion of this. What we're doing is just lightly bonding that into the dried glue, just like we've done with our tapes on the perimeters and other areas. Now I take my fingernail and I crease the fabric right into the junction on the inner radius of the inspection ring and the fabric area where they've glued together. Once that's done, again, we use our heat to lock it in place. And take the iron, take the toe of the iron, and run it around right against the fabric. and the inner radius of that plastic inspection ring. Now we've lightly heat bonded that fabric in place. Now you can take your fingers and just rub around that patch. Because it's a circle, it'll act almost like a piece of bias tape. It'll actually go around these compound curves and fill in real well. Work it out, get the wrinkles off the top of the plastic inspection ring, and then as you hold a little tension toward the outside edge of the radius, go ahead and same procedure, use your fingernail or a little sharpened popsicle stick or whatever works for you to run around here and lightly pre-crease that fabric. As you can see here, what we've got now, we've got a very nice tight fit on the inside, got a nice fit on the outside. Again, we're going to take our iron and just heat activate that. If you recall, when we glued these rings down and we wiped the excess glue off, I mentioned that it doesn't hurt to have a little glue left around these edges. It's really nice if you have some, because now you've got a good glue bed and glue base there that you can heat bond this fabric right down tightly against that outer radius of these rings. Also notice we're keeping the iron up well away from the edges. If you get down too low, you're going to shrink your doily, and at that point you probably want to peel it back off because it's never going to look just right. Okay, we get to that stage. The next step here is to go ahead and do the final glue. Again, it's back to our old glue and wipe procedure. I start in the center, brush glue down into that area. This time I also like, if it's not real hot, you got time to work the glue, I like to go ahead and come up around the upper perimeter out just past the outer edge on the plastic ring. Down through this fabric ring, or we can put it up underneath. I've done both ways. I find personally, for my part, it's a little faster just to pre-glue like this. Brush the glue down. You don't have to work the brush quite so much to get a good 100% bond doing it like that. I do about half of it at a time. Again, just lightly wipe the surplus glue spoilage off of there. Repeat it for the second half of the radius here. I've done the rest of the wing. You see they all lay there. They look just like the rest of the tapes. And other than finishing up our wingtip area here and a couple perimeter tapes around the trailing edge, this wing is ready to go ahead then and prep for the filler coat.